Hi, in the next few videos we're going to create some examples of generics using methods and different properties that are generic. And so let's get started with something called a storage class that can take more than one type of data. So I'm going to create a new project. So I'm going to create a project and call it generics storage class. And let's click finish. Inside of here we're going to create a new class. I'm just going to name it storage and make sure that it has a main method. So here's the starting point for my storage class. I'm going to create a property in here called generic T. So let's put in here private T, and I'm going to use the letter S for storage. Okay, so now it says in here, rightfully so, that there is no such thing as a T or property. There is no class or there is no data type called T. So I'm going to take a look at the suggestions for fixing it. And so I'm going to check the first one here. And it added this data type in a bracket here called T. So that T stands for generic data type. And it now is going to allow us to use generics inside of the class. So the first thing we'll do is create a constructor for this storage class. So this looks like any other kind of constructor in other classes, except instead of using a data type such as integer or string, we're using the capital T. But the setter of the property looks just the same. So let's create a getter now for this class. And once again, I'm going to use the generic capital T, and the get data will return the property of this.s. So far those look like kind of standard getters and setters. Now we're going to go into the main area and actually create some instances. So the first item that I'm going to create is a instance of this storage class. I'm going to name it string storage. And you can see that I'm going to put in angled brackets the data type that this is expecting. And so I can create a new storage type with type string and put in somebody's name. So I'll put in Billy Graham. Now you notice how these match up. So I have the string in brackets here, and I have the T in brackets at the definition of the top. So this would theoretically work with any kind of data type now. So I'm going to try to create a storage instance here called integer storage. And inside of the brackets I will tell it the data type, so it is an integer. If I try to put in something besides an integer, I should get an arrow. So if I put in a quote 82, I will have a message that says your constructor doesn't work now because the string type is expected here if you have a string in here. So you have to do matchups on the actual data to the data type. So the third example I'll create is a storage for the type double. And we should be able to put in a number here. So remember, doubles are usually used for decimals. So now I should be able to print out the contents of each of these storage items. So I'll print out the contents of string storage R, and then I'm going to use the getter, or get data, to print this out. So I'm going to repeat the process for two more. I'm going to have integer storage and use the getter, and double storage and use the getter there. So now if I run the program, I should be able to see all of these print out. So this is a quick demonstration of creating a data type in my actual definition of a class. And so the constructor and the getters and setters all use generics. So here's the extension I'd like you to do is to not only use string, integer, and double, but prove to yourself, create two more or so. So when you're done, you should be able to have 5 different items that are all different types of data.